In this clip here, you see Tracy as Shannon Finney. This is open live, where she claims that she witnessed Chang's suicide. Now, we've heard Tracy make several allegations against me, claiming that I supposedly witnessed his death. That's not true. I found out Chang passed away when his cousin came on, when everybody else found out that he had died by, suicide. And I remember it was devastating because Chang was known for taking hiatuses and not being around for a few days. And he hadn't been around for like about a week or so. And we never really thought anything about it. But then his cousin comes on and he makes a video claiming that Chang was deceased. Now, Tracy had this Shannon Finney account, and she had this woman's avatar with like a big chest. And I think this was one of the accounts she used to go after Annie White and Mindy Ward, whom at the time she thought was Molly Hawes, aka Crotch Vomit, aka Meat Candy. So here she's saying, this is where she was like, this is her describing, how Chang allegedly died. Now, she'll try to come back and say that she was speculating. But does this post really look like a speculation? This looks like somebody who was there that had knowledge of it. Because now I remember her friend Dean Roger Ray, Tesla Coils. He, after Chang passed away, made several claims that he had witnessed Chang take his life. Now, we know that Cheryl Tracy Gamble Piston Excellence was very close with Dean Roger Ray. They trolled together. They were inseparable. She spent a number of years defending some of his behavior. But this post was from Google Plus from February 4th, 2015. Now, keep in mind, during this time, Tracy thought that Chang was still alive. This is during the time when she was saying he was still alive. But then she does this and makes this claim that she witnessed him, falling backwards off of his seat. And then she was talking about, semi-automatic, talking about the type of weapon that he used. We will see how Tracy, again, and I showed this in my other video, but she was the Manny Hands White account, and her friend Dean Roger Ray, Tesla Coils, as I've mentioned before, was the Chang 13A account there. As you see in the background, you see Weeks in the blue background, William R. III, and it shows, his address, which at the time, this was his Massachusetts driver's license, and you can see his image, faded out there. That was Chang's driver's license. Now, what happened was Tracy and Dean Roger Ray and Ken Rice somehow gained access to Chang's photo bucket account. And they were able to get his driver's license and intimate photos of his family members, including his little sister and his sister and his nephew and everything. And they were using these things to intimidate and bully him. Now, this all happened within 2 months before Chang passed away. Now, you'll see Tracy as Manny Hands White putting down where Dean Roger Ray is linking the Facebook to Jillian Weeks, who was a 12-year-old girl at the time in 2011, disabled with a pacemaker. And you see Tracy pointing down to one of Chang's lot. And Chang begged and pleaded with her to please leave his family alone, and she wouldn't do it. Now, in this next clip, you'll see, this is one of Tracy's sock accounts, Chang Loves Boxy. And you'll see that that's the avatar there, that's Chang. And you can see again in the background, the Weeks William R. III, 97 Hillberg Avenue, as that was his address when he lived in Brockton, Massachusetts. Now, that's where he was when he passed away in the Social Security Death Index, and I will show that here later. that he did indeed die in Brockton, Massachusetts. Now it shows there are little sisters, moo ha 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 is what she says. And basically they were going after this young girl who was a minor at the time, to attack her merely for being a member of Chang's family. Now in this next one, you will see here the Chang 13A channel, which was Dean Roger Ray, and you'll see more of the Massachusetts driver's license, shows Brockton, Massachusetts in the background, and with Dean Roger Ray, who was Tracy's sidekick, Tesla Coils, and they were going after Chang, and Dean Roger Ray would make death threats to Chang, and you could see that he's linking to the photo bucket account that they had gotten into and obtained. And you can see what Tesla says. He says, Chang 13A will go to extra links to protect innocent people and let see what link you go to. Keep your relatives from hearing what you are. Sooner or later, one of those weeks I find will lead back to you. So at this point, they were making no mistake that her and that Tracy and Dean Roger Ray, Tesla Coils, and Ken Rice at the time were going heavily for Chang's family. Anybody out there that questioned whether or not Tracy and Chang were friends, I'm going to go ahead and show you that they were not. On February 25th of 2011, which was roughly 2 months before Chang took his life, he made a blog called Tracy is a Loony Bitch.blogspot.com exposing Tracy. And it was called Crazy Cheryl Tracy Gamble. Now, this was Chang's blog, and this is open live. This blog is nowhere up anymore, but I was glad that I captured it when I did. But Chang was very upset by what Tracy had been doing to him and to his family members. Now, if you want to know, this image is something that's on his Out of Nullset channel. You go through here and let me get to that part. You see like his blog on Thursday, February 24th and 25th. He writes, she claimed a user we know as Smitten Pedo stalking her, and it was debunked. Now, Tracy would constantly make these allegations against people that they were stalking her children. It seems to be her go-to thing. Anytime someone has any sort of disagreement with her, she automatically accuses them of stalking her family. And she will also accuse them of threatening to burn her house down and threaten to harm her kids and everything. Now, and she did this recently last year with Yaxley, and I debunked that, where she had claimed her and Molly Hawes, Meat Candy, had stated that supposedly Yaxley had threatened to burn her house down and kill her children and her. That never happened, and I debunked that. But you will also see, I'll show one later on when we get to this part on the blog, and show that she also accuses other people of threatening to burn her house down, which seems to be a go-to thing for her. He goes ahead and writes, she and enablers like to delete the truth. Just look at the Google cache pages. Instead, I'll show you this and why I made the posts. You know, we'll go on to that. I'll click on some of these. And when I refused to continue interaction with her and had to overlook, these are all these things that he did. And this is about, you know, where he talks about different things. We're going to go on and click on those. Now, here's his post from February 24th of 2011, 2 months before he died. Now, you'll hear Joel, a.k.a. Trollope Rules, and Tracy try to claim that her and Chang were great when he died. They were not. Chang hated Tracy. Tracy tormented him and bullied him. And the reason that she's so outspoken claiming that Tracy has had an issue with me since 2011 when I became friends with the Boohoo Effect. Tracy's an extremely jealous and insecure person. And she was in love with the Boohoo Effect. And she felt like I was a female. I was talking to him. We were just friends. She felt like I was encroaching upon her territory. And that's when she launched a vicious attack upon me that's lasted for 12 years. With Annie White before me, she was obsessed for many years simply because Peter Dugo, the young man who was 20 years old that she used her daughter's identity to have a cyber affair with, he didn't know she was an old woman and all that. What happened was he said she had nice tits. That's all it took, and that set her off on this rampage against Annie. I never stalked Tracy's family. I never did anything to Tracy, but Tracy is obsessed with me. And since then, she has accused me of doing everything from pornography to murder. And her go-to thing is to say that I was somehow involved in Chang's suicide, which is not true. Chang and I were friends. We did have an argument that lasted a whole entire day. Me, Gam, and Mr. Anonymous Dick, we had some comments back and forth. Now, she'll post those comments as if that was the driving force. No. That fight lasted an entire day, and it was over. But Chang and I went on to make a website. I spoke to him up until he died. And his death is something that's haunted me and hurt for a long time, because I often wonder if I had just been around that night when, he did message me the night that he took his life. He did email me. He did message me on Yahoo Messenger, and I wasn't around. He did contact Kenny KPZ, and he seemed pretty upset when he was talking to Kenny. And the last PM that he did discuss that Tracy was harassing him. And he was very vocal about that. Tracy wouldn't leave him alone. Now, I'm not saying Tracy's the reason that he killed himself, because ultimately he made that choice. I'm not trying to blame her for that, but what she was doing to him online was not much different than what she's been doing to me online and others for years. Let's go on. He says, when I refused to continue interaction with her and had tried to overlook her garbage, she stalked her way onto a photo bucket where I keep pictures of my family, including a picture of our 12-year-old little sister, who, despite having sort of a pacemaker, from what I am told, a box plugs into it and gives a readout of her rhythmic distress over the phone line. The other individual began stalking Facebook for her by name, threatening me and with having her harmed. Now, what happened was Dean Roger Ray, Tesla Coils, had threatened to harm Chang's little sister, and Tracy was the one that was encouraging it and the driving force for all of that. Let's see here. Let me go on. And he writes, note the dark, sinister connotations of where I posted it. I take this very seriously. My family has had it with this crazy woman. We were never intimate. No, even in today's cyber culture sense, she is so driven. Having children of her own, thinks this is acceptable. And this is what Chang wrote. So again, these are receipts that prove my allegations against Tracy. Tracy claims that I recorded Chang. I never recorded Chang. Never happened. Where's the recording? You would think Tracy had that recording, but she doesn't. She never ever makes good on this. Now we're going to see this screenshot that Chang had, and it was of the Boohoo Effects channel at the time. And it was in a common exchange that he had back and forth with Tracy at the time. And this comment is where he confronts her. Let's see, where he confronts her with what she was doing to his little sister. And you'll see this here. Let me see if I can get this zoomed in a little bit better. He says, you fucked up when I said all are on the menu. I didn't mean the trolls. I meant, it's really hard for me to read this. And it says, he goes on and he talks about, talking about my 12-year-old little sister, Jillian. go ahead and delete that. It's still visible and will be on my blog. Now, he's talking about the blog that I'm actually reading right now. Tracy has tried, and Trollope has tried to deny that this blog was Chang's, and it most definitely was. And this was left from his BDev Nullset account, which was his backup channel to his Adev Nullset channel, which is still up on YouTube. Now, Tracy used his ID and flagged down his BDev Nullset channel. But we're going to go on here, and we're going to look further at some of Tracy's comments. Let's look at this one so you guys can get a better view of this one a little bit, so it's easier to read. I want to make sure that people are able to actually read it. But when you scroll down and you see these things here, now Tracy, again, in this here, Tracy is making threats right here saying that somebody threatened to burn her house. Now, I mentioned this earlier when I first started talking about how Tracy likes to make these claims that people threatened her. She tried to say that Yaxley last year had threatened to burn her house down. And she was saying that he threatened her children, which he didn't do. I debunked it. I opened her exchanges with Yaxley live. And I immediately debunked it because her and Molly Hawes, a.k.a. Meat Candy, a.k.a. Crotch Vomit, were on several live streams claiming that Yaxley had made this threat. I'm not a friend of Yaxley's. I can't stand the man, but, you know, the truth is the truth. I'm not going to fucking lie and say that he did that when he didn't. So you see there's a common theme with her. And these are the comments here. And you see that when he's on the Boohoo Effects channel, he is talking to Tracy. He mentions her by name. So let's see here. So now you guys can kind of understand a little bit about what was going through Chang's mind. We're going to go back here to his blog where he talks about the, we're going to click on another one here where he talks about Tracy. Now here he has, this was from February 24th of 2011. And we're going to read this. He says, she's been stalking people for around a year. In my personal experience, the tactics she employs are highly illegal even in the UK, where there are cyber stalking laws. She feels the safety is that she stalks Americans. Now, Tracy targets mainly Americans, mainly American females. Yeah, she does target Americans, and the reason she does is because she feels that she has no repercussions for that. She knows if she targets someone in her own country that there are consequences for that because of their laws. So he goes on to say, she goes on Facebook and other forums and other venues preying on those she feels she's safe to. It goes beyond the mild harassment of centralized criticism, you know, and it, you know, that's pretty much what she does. It goes beyond that with her. Like, say a comment on a YouTube video. She tends to befriend people and then try to psychically cannibalize those she can't dominate. That's true. Into doing her bidding. In this blog section, I will show a chronological history of her obsessive behavior. Any who are offended by these exhibits need to understand these are to show how dark and deviant her mind is if you feel it's deviant, sick, or abhorrent, please keep in mind I did not create the subject. I'm just putting it on display. Why would a mother of three spend countless hours in such a bizarre fashion? You tell me. Tracy's actually a mother of four, but Chang did not stalk her family. Obviously, he did not know that she had 4 children. So that tells you that her allegations of Chang stalking her family are false because he didn't even know. See, and he says, a mother of 3 children spent countless hours in such a bizarre fashion. You tell me. I'm no doctor, just an observer and victim. And Chang was a victim of Tracy. And that's what I find appalling about all of this, is that Tracy will actually try to play off like she was some sort of like friend of his. He could not stand her. What happened was Chang and her had, you know, the whole Peter being nuclear fright. And I think he went by Skype as well. And Tracy came on as Paige, and she was using the name UK Troll. And she was pretending to be an 18-year-old woman from the UK, and she was using her 15-year-old daughter's photographs. And she began a online relationship with Peter Dugo of Florida. He was 20 years old at the time, and they met on the sociopathic.org website, where both of them claimed to be sociopaths. They would target children, families together, and, you know, she got a penis picture from Peter and tried to give it to Boo, and he didn't want to see it. Well, then she tried the same thing with Chang. She tried to come on to Chang in a way, and, you know, he didn't fall for it. And at that time, Molly Hawes, a.k.a. Meat Candy, a.k.a. Crotch Vomit, then turned around and doxed her. This is a question that Tracy's never answered. How was it that everybody knew who Paige was before Tracy was ever doxed? I will tell you why. Because Tracy was using her daughter's identity. Tracy wasn't doxed until Crotch Vomit doxed her some months after she came around as Paige. And the reason she was doxed was because she was stalking the children of Annie L. White, and she was stalking different people's families. So that covers this section. I mean, his blog was, I have more that I will show at a later time, but we'll go into the next section. On this clip that I'm going to show, Tracy made videos claiming that Chang had faked his death. You know, for years and years, she's accused me of suicide trolling Chang and causing his death and calling me a murderer. But then when it suited her, she decided to claim that he had faked his death. And back in 2015, Tracy made a bunch of videos where she was stalking the wrong Weeks family because she believed Chang was still alive. I had to show her proof that Chang was actually deceased. So I'm going to show you this clip. I'm just going to go ahead and play it.
Here is the proof that William Weeks faked his death under.
Now, what you'll see coming up next, you heard Tracy saying that that was proof that William Weeks had faked his death. That's what she said. He didn't fake his death. He died April 26th of 2011. Now, you'll see Chang's sister, who uses the account name Adams Queen, and she comes on Tracy's video and leaves a comment. And I'm going to show that comment. And this is on her video. And I'm going to read this to you once it all comes up on the screen, because I live recorded this. Okay. She said, sorry, but my brother William R. Weeks III died April 26, 2011. We are not related to nor even know a Gary Lou. You do open this vid with a family picture from one of our Christmases ago. Now, how did Tracy get a photograph other than from his photo bucket account that she'd gotten into that I discussed earlier in this video? She was able to obtain family information from that, as you saw Chang talked about on his blog. She had this picture and she used it in the video. And she writes, you do open this vid with a family picture one of our Christmases ago. But that woman you claim is Gary Lou has neither that first name nor Billy and I's last name. Now, for people who knew Chang, his name was William R. Weeks III, but his friends and his family called him Billy. I called him Billy. His friends called him Billy. So she goes on to say, no, I won't give her name, as I don't need to prove to anyone that he's dead. She writes, I cleaned his brain matter off my fireplace and suffer from PTSD as a result of finding him. I do, however, occasionally come on YouTube and see what is being said about him. You fail on so many levels, dude. It's very sad seeing someone whose life is so deeply revolves around YouTube trolling and failing so greatly. I hope for your family's sake that it doesn't end up the same way Billy's life did, because nobody deserves to live what I have to live with through no fault of their own. Adam's Queen, that's Chang's sister. Now, Chang's sister describes that. And did Tracy stop saying that he faked his death? No. In fact, she pursued their family and continued to harass that family. And claims now she'll get into these live streams with Trollope Rules in the outside chat cheering her on. Trollope Rules, Joel, never knew Chang. He was not friends with Chang. He didn't run in any circles with Chang. None of his friends knew him, Joel, or Trollope Rules. We knew everybody in our little group, and you were not part of it. I mean, you'll hear Tracy claim that Trollope's this British woman. We didn't have any British female trolls in the Smileys. Sorry, we didn't. Of course, we know that voice is Tracy's friend Emily, and we'll cover that next because we're gonna go pull that up too. We're gonna show you the person's voice that she's used for Tricky Trev and for Trollope Rules. Of this video, we're going to revisit the burn victim story. The person that she's had, her friend Emily, that she's had lend her voice for her Tricky Trev videos and for Trollope Rules, you know, in his show us your feet and ankles, that one. Well, this account, Paige Morgan UK, is Tracy's channel. Now, for anybody who was around, and I'm sure Boohoo remembers this, when Tracy came around and was posing as her 15-year-old daughter, she was saying her name was Paige Morgan. Obviously she wasn't, but Tracy kept trying to go along with that ruse for several years because she never will tell the truth about what happened. Now, we will discuss all of this, but we're going to go through some of these videos she has here. Now, you'll see in this picture right here that the person with the other mask next to Tracy is the woman that's actually her friend Emily, that she gets to do these voices for her. So we're going to go to the uploads here. And we're going to go down here to some of her videos here. You'll see where she's going at Straight Jacket Psycho, who's now dead. And we'll cover that because Tracy trolled that woman's obituary after she passed away. And I'm going to show that live as well. So we're going to look at this video, Contagion. Contagion was one of Molly Hawes's screen names at one point. Molly Hawes being Crotch Vomit, a.k.a. Meat Candy. And then we're going to go down here to this one called Annie White Bubba Effect and Crotch Vomit Bullied My Sister. Now, the person that she's got wearing the thing around their face to where they can't be identified is a person that's the Emily person, the same person whose voice was lent for the Tricky Trev channel and for Trollope Rules. Now, we know that Trollope Rules is actually a man. Tracy and Trollope Rules, a.k.a. Joel, they tried to present that Trollope was a British woman. So Tracy used the same voice, the same person, to voice some of the videos, clips that Trollope has used. So we're going to go here and look at this video.
I'm a sister of Emily. I won't need to say her surname because you know who I'm talking about. Annie L. White. Now, I've been watching you, and you go around saying that other people are stalking people, but you're the stalker. You did it to my sister. You nearly ruined my family.
Okay, so I paused this video here to show you that, first off, Crotch Vomit being Molly Hawes, a.k.a. Meat Candy, she was the person that a lot of you will remember Tracy did a lot of live streams with me, and she was vowing vengeance. I mean, how many people? Tracy was in search of finding out who Crotch Vomit was, because Crotch Vomit did indeed go after her daughters. She also made racially insensitive comments about her daughter, which is true. But Dana Burgess, a woman from Pennsylvania who was a social worker, was veil doxxed by Tracy. Tracy tried to ruin her life, tried to ruin her job. Then she went after this woman named Angela Bush. She went after her shop that she owned and veil doxxed her as being Molly, Crotch Vomit. And then she goes after Mindy and Abe Ward, Mindy Ward, who she veil doxxed as being Molly Haas. Now, Molly Haas is Meat Candy, aka Crotch Vomit. But see, this person, she basically says, Annie L. White, Bubba Effect, and Crotch Vomit bullied my sister because she was burnt in a fire. There was no burn victim. See, when Tracy came on and was catfishing Peter and using her 15-year-old daughter's picture, using, the name UK Troll, saying her name was Paige Morgan, saying she was from the UK, she explained when she did videos with her voice that the reason that she sounded the way she did was that she was a burn victim, that she had been in a fire, and that her vocal cords had become somehow like singed or burnt. And that's why she sounds the way she sounds. There was no burn victim. And if you look at this video, this woman doesn't even say, I'm the sister of Emily. I have no idea, because now Emily is the person that now Tracy talks about being her friend, that she lends the voice. She had, when Tracy was double trolling Monograph, because Tracy's friends with Monograph, what she did was she had her friend come and do a voiceover for a video. It's still on the Tricky Trev channel, where it's a picture of Forrest Jameson as the thumbnail. And you can hear her friend Emily's voice, because Tracy didn't want to be caught trolling Monograph, because Tracy likes to double troll everyone. So let's finish playing this video.
When you were looking for Paige, you mistook my sister for her, and you trolled her. You harassed her. You went over her Facebook, her MySpace. You rang her house constantly. You took the piss out of her burns.
Okay. So we have discussed that. Now let's go down to this Contagion video, which is...
I especially love how your 3 bottom teeth look like tombstones rising above the rest. That's hot.
So what you heard there was the voice of Molly Haas, Meat Candy, aka Crotch Vomit. You can go to the Meat Candy channel and you can tell that that's her voice. And Tracy and her didn't like each other. So what I find really funny is Tracy vowed all this revenge on Molly. And then when Molly came back, Tracy bent over and took a knee to her and kissed her ass, became best friends with her, even sent her a gift basket. I mean, personally, for me, if someone did what they did to, what Molly did to my children, I wouldn't have anything to do with them. But Tracy wanted to weaponize Molly. And she thought she would use Molly to come at me. And then she blamed all of her stalking activities on me. And I think Molly was afraid of Tracy because Tracy went at her family. That she was more afraid of Tracy than she was of me. And then she decided to lash out at me, which was a big mistake because I'm a lot worse than Tracy when it comes to fighting back, when it comes to my family. And Molly and Tracy targeted my family together. But we'll go into that later. Now, when we go back to this channel here, we will look at the other channels involved here. You'll see these channels called Maximus Hideous. All these channels, ICER 2, which ICER is Night Sabers. and shows you that these are channels, these are friends of Tracy's. Tracy was friends with Iser, which was Night Sabers. So she's had a long-standing friendship with Night Sabers. So let's go into this Massivus Hideous channel, because this woman is Felicia Myers. She's deceased. We'll go into this. Now, we're going to a lot on this one because there's a lot to cover here. First off, we will go into Felicia Myers when I show you later on how she stalked her obituary. But I'm going to show you this particular video here. Chang committed suicide. He was bullied relentlessly by Tracy. But there's another suicide under Tracy's belt that Tracy bullied another person who committed suicide. Her username was Southern Raven. And she went by Jennifer Souls. That's her name, Jennifer Souls. Tracy is going after her here in this particular video on this channel. Now you'll hear Tracy talking and photoshopping Jennifer Souls, who is dead. She passed away from a suicide. Tracy stalked her relentlessly. And there's two people that Tracy's linked to that she harassed horrifically that have committed suicide. Let's go on.
I'm taking off time from being Queen of the Trolls. Yeah, you heard me. Keep trying, Tranmere. You might attain the dizzying heights that I managed to reach. The problem is with you, though, you're just regurgitating things that are from somebody else's mouth, because we've heard it all before.
And of course, she's attacking her parents.
When you bring out one of your videos and you say, oh, look what I found. You didn't find fuck all. It was already been posted, except for Forrest and Greg removed.
Now we're going to go ahead and look at this. Now she's posting a picture of teeth because she made fun of Jennifer Souls' teeth. She claimed that her teeth were fake. Now Tracy gets really sensitive when people make fun of her teeth. She's gone on video clamping her teeth together and, you know, jumping up and down and hopping up and down on one leg and putting bags over her head and doing nursery rhymes and all kinds of shit, trying to prove that she didn't have bad teeth. But Tracy's very sensitive about her appearance, and her go-to thing with other people is she likes to attack females, their appearance, especially females she's jealous of. Let's continue.
Before they gave them to you, because they knew you were such an idiot that you would actually believe you were finding some great treasure and bringing to the masses some bit of information that they previously didn't know.
All right, I think we get the point here.
Comments, I called you Tranmere when you were calling me Donkey Teeth, and then you start calling me Tranny. You're even emulating your enemy. That's how...
Here's her making fun of Jennifer Souls, calling her, photoshopping her as an ape, putting a blonde wig on it, calling it Planet of the Fakes. She's constantly doing this to females online. Constantly. Let's continue.
This is not really suiting you. And then you look as stupid as the people that you're actually in with. You imagine you're part of some big gang. Well, let me enlighten you. Your big gang consists of Forrest Jameson and about 20 socks. Everybody knows Forrest Jameson. Just put in a Google search, Forrest Jameson had hundreds of sock accounts, and go and read things that people will...
Tracy has hundreds of sock accounts.
You've got Forrest and posting about Von Helton being
Anyway... of course, here she is, running her mouth as always. But I just wanted to point out to everybody that there's not just been one suicide that's related to Tracy. There's been two. Tracy bullied Jennifer Souls, a.k.a. Southern Raven, and she later killed herself with a self-inflicted gunshot wound, just like Chang did. Very unfortunate. Let's continue. Now we're talking about Felicia Myers, the woman's image that's being shown here at the very top for the avatar. She is also deceased. When she died, she died I believe, of congenital heart failure. And it was extremely terrible. It was very sudden. When she died, Tracy went to her obituary and spammed her obituary. We're going to open that live right now. Here you see the obituary of Felicia Myers, who passed away September 24th, 2013. Now we're going to look at her obituary here. So bear with me. You see loved ones writing, she was a fabulous person, funny, smart, talented, gifted, hardworking, no nonsense, totally dedicated to her kids. An incredible friend, and she will be deeply missed. Then you see Tracy coming on with an account called Truth Seeker. And she posts a YouTube link. Now, I'm not sure what that is because that YouTube link has since, whatever that video is gone. Again, with more links. And then she comes on with the name Bitch Witch. Now, Bitch Witch was one of Felicia Myers' screen names. And on October 4th, 2013 at 8 a.m., she types, she liked to hang around with two men who harassed an old man half to death. Felicia made over 1,000 vulgar comments threatening the man and his young wife. Her video channel, Bitch Witch, shows what kind of girl Felicia was. Google Forrest Jameson, then look at him commenting here. The man who caused the death of a young woman. Let's go on. Then she comes back to write, she was friends with the man who stalked Brianna Greathouse until she committed suicide. She defended Forrest relentlessly and was also involved in stalking an old lady called Mrs. Thor. And then you'll see a message from Forrest Jameson. She exposed several pedophiles online like Monograph and UK troll Cheryl Tracy Gamble. She was revered and respected. We will miss her very much. Try Forrest. Because Forrest had become aware that Tracy was stalking her obituary, because not only did Tracy brag about it, she was proud of it. Let's continue. And then she comes back with another account called Dogma and writes, she was a troll. Then you see people that knew her. Renee Hutchins, she will be dearly missed. And that's that. Now you have to ask yourself, what kind of human being goes to someone's obituary who's dead? It wasn't a threat to Tracy anymore. But yet Tracy has no respect for her family or for her children that were left behind, that she had to go to her obituary and shit all over it. Just like she continues to shit all over William Weeks, as I know him, Billy, Chang 13A. She uses him. She was never his friend. She abused him horrifically, was terrible to him, but then tries to use his death to troll others with. It's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Tracy, you're a fucking disgrace. On to the next one. We're going to go to the Wayback Machine and we're going to visit Tracy's channel, Manny Hands White. Piston Excellence, aka Tracy, aka UK Troll, had several socks, one of them being called Manny Hands White, which was a play on Annie L. White's name. We're going to go to Stalkers of YouTube Blogspot too later, and we're going to talk about Molly a little bit more there. But we're going to go ahead and type this in. You guys can see me do this live. So we're going to find these things, and we're going to show you guys a little bit of how Tracy operates. Okay. We're going to go back to 2011 when she was active with this account. And it looks like it cashed in March of 2011. We'll go to March 13th of 2011 where it shows 2 snapshots. And we'll show you guys what Tracy, the self-proclaimed victim who claims she was the victim of all this bullying, what she's all about. Okay. We will see right here. You look at the background of her channel. You see Chang right there. That's Chang. You see her channel here where she's photoshopped Annie White's photograph. This is indeed her channel. Now let's go over here to the side here, and you can see some of her videos here. And you'll see one right here called The Essential Guide for Stalkers, Chang's Favorite. Now, if you hear her in her live streams and her and Joel, Trollop Rules, talking, they claim that Tracy and Chang were just great friends and she never bullied him and she never did anything wrong. It was all me, according to her. Yet, you don't see any videos that I've ever made about Chang. You don't see anything on his Out of Null Set channel of me him even talking about me because he and I were friends. The thing is Tracy has for years tried to paint this narrative. I don't know if it's because she feels guilty, as she should feel guilty for what she did to him. Because he never did anything to deserve what she did to him and the kind of abuse she inflicted upon him. And she inflicted this abuse upon him because she was mad that he didn't come to her defense when it all came out that she was a catfish, that she pretended to be her 15-year-old daughter to get dick pics so she could have a relationship with Peter Dugo. So anyway, you see pictures of Gam there. You see pictures of Mike and Annie. And her, of course, doing her thing where she's calling people suicide trolls. And the only suicide troll here, the only person here who's linked to harassing 2 people online who've committed suicide is Cheryl Tracy Gamble, a.k.a. Piston Excellence. She's linked to William Weeks and Jennifer Souls. Okay, let's go back out here. We'll go to another of the captures here. Go back here to 2011. Go down here to March. We'll go to the 18th of March where there's 1 snapshot. I'm sorry, Wayback Machine is a little slow. But on this one, she has, a background with the Bubba Effect and I have no idea who that is. Okay, so we go on here, and of course, you see her comments down here where she's commenting with Melvin Wright and 155 millimeter and, just her typical thing. Typical bullshit. So, of course, this is her Manny Hands White account that joined February 3rd of 2011. Let's go over here and look at her videos here, of course. Let's just highlight the ones that she did about Chang. And she bullied Chang relentlessly. Look at how all the videos she made. Here's the one from Chang here again. I showed you earlier. Here's the one about Chang's failed hacking attempt. Let's see. And then she goes on down here to, more Chang. And more on Chang. And more on Chang. It's amazing, Tracy, for you to claim such victimhood and claim complete innocence in all of this. Why do you have so much stuff out about Chang on here? I thought you were good friends with him right before he died. And this is in 2011, 2 months before he died. And you claimed and lied in many live streams claiming that you were on good terms with him when he died, and you were not. I will tell you that right now. Let's go on over here again. Same channel, same crap. Let's see if the comments are any different. Still the same comments here. Still, let's see how many videos here. Just same old stuff. I mean, tons and tons of videos if you go down here. There's 1 on Chang, 2 on Chang, 3 on Chang, 4 on Chang, 5 on Chang, 6 on Chang, there you go. 6 videos on Chang. And let's see, when were these? I can see these. Yeah, these were all within 2 months of his death. So again, Tracy, tell us again how you were friends with Chang. Are you capable of any honesty whatsoever? I know that's a rhetorical question because, of course, you're not. Why don't you explain to Malibu and Survivor Girl and all these people that you're feeding their heads full of shit, claiming that I suicide trolled Chang and that I caused his death and all the bullshit that you've been spouting for fucking 11 years now? Why don't you explain to them how it is that you have no evidence showing I'm doing anything? I'm showing plenty on you. Plenty. Oh, well, okay, on to the next clip. Promised we would go back to Molly Haas, a.k.a. Meat Candy, a.k.a. Crotch Vomit, and we're getting there. Okay, Cheryl Tracy Gamble, a.k.a. Piston Excellence, a.k.a. UK Troll, Fatty Cider, Manny Hands White, Block and Flag Effect, Shannon Finney, Random Noob. There's so many, you know, Tricky Trev. I mean, so many accounts to count. Tracy has a lot of socks. But let's look at this. This is a picture of Annie White, and this comes from Tracy's blog. Tracy was under the belief that I was some sort of McCann supporter because I had shown where she was harassing the McCann family. And in her country, she was court ordered to stop passing out pamphlets or selling pamphlets or something. And apparently she was making money off of the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Anyway, so she had this blog that she would put up about me, about Annie, about Gam, about Chang, about anybody that she had an issue with. Forrest, Harry, you name it. So it's called Who is Yuval Hades? Now, first off, Yuval Hades is a Twitter account owned by Molly Haas, a.k.a. Meat Candy, a.k.a. Crotch Vomit. But Tracy was accusing me of being the Yuval Hades account. I had left YouTube in January of 2012 and didn't return until December 2015, late December 2015. I'd been gone for nearly 4 years, and during this time, Tracy made over 200 videos about me, talked about me constantly, accused me of being Pona Lisa, Fiction Fighter, which is Lol's Junkie, who's now Stingray, I guess, accused me of being like literally every account. She put up pornography of another woman and claimed it was me. She's constantly bringing out pictures of fat women, claiming it's me. She's putting out fake dating profiles of fat women, claiming it's me. As you can see on Trollop Rules' channel, her and Joel have been making fake dating profiles of me using fat women's pictures, claiming all kinds of shit. Tracy would claim that somebody in my town gave her pictures of me. Well, that's not me. I'm not. That woman's at least 5'8". I'm 5 feet tall. That's not me. But whatever blows up your skirt. Because Tracy is a very insecure woman. And like I said previously, she likes to attack women in general that she's jealous of, and she's always attacking their appearance. There's always something wrong with them because Tracy really believes she's the most beautiful woman on YouTube and that nobody's better looking than her. So anyway, she writes down here, Catherine Childers, a.k.a. Katie Childers, being convicted of child abandonment, takes criticism of the McCanns as a personal insult. First off, I've never been convicted of anything. Never been convicted of child abandonment ever. My mugshot that I have from 2001 is for contempt of court for expired tags. Anybody with my name can do a background search and see this. Let's continue. So then you see this where Tracy has used, Photoshop. And with Photoshop, she claims that I was arrested for leaving my kids in a car while attending a concert. And she writes, of course, Catherine Childers, that's the name of her blog. And she claims that I'm Yuval Hades, which I'm not. And I will establish that here in a second. So, the article in question, and this is something she went with Monograph, and this is why Monograph is always regurgitating this. The woman who left her kids in a car to go to a Lil Wayne concert is an African-American woman out of the state of Florida. Let me see if I can find that video. 1 second. Okay. Excuse me. It's not deja vu. You're seeing this story here. This is a woman named Brittany Harris that was left her kids in the car to go to a Lil Wayne concert. So I'm going to show, let me find that again here. We'll go ahead and play the video for you all. Why not, right? I don't know if the sound will play or not.
Palm Beach mother is facing child neglect charges after police say she left her children in a car while she watched Sunday's Lil Wayne concert at the Crucian Amphitheater. A Crucian employee reportedly found Brittany Harris's 5 and 3-year-old children in the parking lot.
So there you have it, guys. That's the woman who left her kids in a car to go to a concert. Now, Tracy Photoshopped my image over this story. I'm going to show this again. Hold on. Right there. And went around telling people that I had been charged with child abandonment and that I had left my kids in a car to go to a concert. This was her proof. This is the kind of human being we're dealing with. Somebody who is incapable of telling the truth. Somebody who frames people for things and makes up things about people. And she did the same thing about Chang when she was accusing him of being a pedophile. And she was claiming that because these women in a 4chan video, she thought they looked young, and that meant that he was a pedophile. That's what she was calling him. It was fucking disgusting. And because Chang was vocal in exposing David Rock and Von Helton, and Tracy defended David Rock, and she defended the fact that he was convicted twice of child pornography. And she was also defending Von Helton wanting nude photographs of a 14-year-old girl. Now we go on to the Inspect Element faked police report that Tracy's put out, that she's given to Mike Truth and she's given to other people and trying to claim that this is real. You could see it was on her Fatty Cider account down in the lower left-hand bottom. And you see this is really, really bad Photoshop. None of the font matches up. But she claims that I was charged with drug possession and child neglect. And she writes this narrative that's all bullshit, none of which is true. Like I said, the mugshot that I have is from 2001. I'm not ashamed. I have no problem not hiding anything. Was for the fact that I had contempt of court for expired registration on my vehicle. So now let's go back to the whole Yuval Hades thing. Let's pull up Yuval Hades now on Twitter. Here we have the Yuval Hades Twitter account. And you can see, here's the blogs here that it has linked. Tracy Stalks Blogspot.com, Triforce Troll Legion Blogspot, Okay, let's see. And this is Molly Haas Meat Candy, aka Crotch Vomit's Twitter page. Let's click on this and see if it goes anywhere. Blog not found. Triforce Troll Legion blogspot. Yep, it says sensitive warning. I'm not going to click that, but clearly, let's look at the tweets and replies, because this is the account that Tracy tried to blame me for, and that her and Molly sat on panels trying to blame me for this account. Now you look at Tracy, or not Tracy, but Molly here. Molly writes, Madeleine McCann, cops poised to make arrest, no disappearance. These are all of her tweets here. And of course, as you know, Molly and Tracy became friends. And of course, the narratives changed because the two of them were attacking me. But let's go ahead and look at some of the things that she said on this account. Here's one right here. She writes on January 12th of 2014. She writes, she has many names. She blogs under Speak Your Mind, SYI'm, and Muldoon. Now, we know the name Muldoon is a name that Tracy uses quite often. She uses that on Skype. She's also used that on Daily Mail to make comments on an article about her daughter. Let's go on here. And then Molly writes, why do McCann antis have an obsession with pedophilia? Just all kinds here. Let's go around. And she writes, I'm showing well-known McCann anti-stalking, harassing people and their children. And she posts a YouTube video, her own words. Let's see what this is.
I'll admit, I have fucked with people's children here on YouTube, but give a warning shot.
There you go. Okay, there you go. And then she goes on to say, you know, she posts that where Tracy admits that she likes to fuck with people's kids. Tracy does stalk people's children. She stalked mine, Forrest Jameson's, Annie White's, Mindy Ward's children, anyone's children that she feels the need to go after. She recently went after my disabled son and said some pretty gross things. Now, you look right here, Yuval Hades on January 12th of 2014. She writes, hashtag Tracy Gamble, and she's tweeting to the South Wales Police Department, making more threats. Look at her case file you have. Is it okay for your citizens to do this? And she posts a twit pic. I don't know if there's anything that will come up from here. I guess there is. Yes. She posts this, shoo, said the maiden. If I ever find you, I won't hear another word until I creep into your room and bash your skull. So basically, Tracy made a threat, as shoo, said the maiden, to Molly to bash her skull in. That's a real classy woman there, Tracy. Let's see here. And she was tweeting this, and, you know, here's another one she sends to the South Wales Police Department. She said, hashtag Tracy Gamble, making more threats. I guess that's okay for UK citizens to do. Look at her. And it's the same quote here, where Tracy says she's going to bash her skull in. But she didn't bash her skull in. Tracy, you sent her a gift basket. And she's like, she says, I document all her threats and pass them on to her local police. They have an open case file on her. And then she goes on and just, let's see if there's some more in here. And then she writes, who knows, but she's really weird. She just threatened to sneak into my house and bash my head in while I'm sleeping. Let's go on here. Then she tells somebody about Tracy. Let's go on here and see what else we can find. She's still tweeting to the South Wales Police Department, and she writes, Tracy Gamble stalking yet another innocent person. Let's see if this opens up anything. Yeah, this is where Tracy was going after Angela Bush that she falsely doxed as crotch vomit. And you can see Tracy still has this woman's channel up, going after this poor woman. And she goes on to say more, and she shows more twit pics, threatens children. Tracy Gamble with an open investigation. And then she puts that Tracy, screams at her kid for money, which is true. Tracy did do that. And then she goes on to say how Tracy IP addressed to find her victims' locations. Then she said video she made last year about someone named Penny. And then she says infamous McCann stalker admits to messing with other people's children in her own words. And then she writes, William Weeks bullied and stalked by Tracy Gamble and Dean Roger Ray until he committed suicide. I miss you, Chang. This tweet right here, let's look at this tweet. It's amazing right here how that stance changed as soon as Molly became friends with Tracy. But yes, it's true. William Weeks was bullied and stalked by Tracy Gamble and Dean Roger Ray until he committed suicide. Ken Rice was also involved. He had a Pedo Chang account, and so was the T-Cell Gandhi Network. They were very much involved. Now we're going to go to Yuval Hades, a.k.a. Crotch Vomit, a.k.a. Meat Candy, a.k.a. Molly Hawes's blog, which has now been deleted. But it's called Stalkers of YouTube. And this was where Molly chronicled Tracy's harassment and stuff. Now, there's several captures of this, so we'll have to go out and look. There's 6 different captures. So we'll look at this, where Molly says Tracy abuses her own child. She says, just when you think Cheryl Tracy Gamble couldn't sink any further or any lower, she does. Tracy has once again used images of her children in a disgusting way in order to blame someone else for it. This time, Tracy has uploaded a video of her own child or grandchild with knife wounds superimposed over the little girl's face. Tracy then tried to blame that channel and video on someone else. Now, this happened. Tracy did get caught superimposing knife wounds over her own daughter and her husband, and she attempted to blame Forrest Jameson and Mr. Dark Zodiac for that. What happened was she made a video crying about it and didn't realize she was logged into the channel, and it showed, and she was embarrassed because, of course, everybody caught it. And she tried to delete it fast, but Tracy has been known to stalk her own children for attention. And she did that in this case, just like I believe she's the Matrix channel. Now, she's blamed Molly and myself and Boohoo and Gam, several people, for being the Matrix channel. The Matrix channel was not my channel. I have no qualms in saying if it was. But this channel, the Matrix channel in general, it posted up like images of her family members, like pictures of her dad and her sister and her daughters that no one could possibly have. I am of the belief that Tracy stalked herself and made the Matrix channel in an attempt to blame others, just like she did the situation with superimposing knife wounds on her kids. And this story is, basically what I'm going to tell everybody is, if you really want to look at this, go to the Wayback Machine, go to http://stalkersofyoutube.blogspot.com, and you'll find this chronicled. Let's go and see what other captures are here for this one here. let's see what's on here for June 3rd of 2014. I don't know if anything's going to come up or not. We'll see. It's still loading. It's a little slow. Here it comes. And it's just kind of the same words out of Tracy's mouth. And, you know, she talks about how Tracy talks about how she stalks kids on YouTube and calls it warning shots. And Tracy's proud of the fact that she targets children. And here where Molly talks about this Penny person again. I guess Penny was somebody that Tracy was stalking as well. Not the same Penny, not Curious Bunny Penny, but a different one. Anyway, I'm about to wrap this up. I will go more into detail of things. I'm going to be sharing a lot more over the next coming days because I am tired of addressing the same thing for 11 years with this woman since Chang passed away. I hope that most of you can walk away from this, especially those of you that were convinced that I had something to do with Chang's suicide. I did not. Chang was my friend. I miss him dearly. There's been no evidence that Tracy's ever been able to produce that I've ever done anything to him. If you go to his Out of Nullset channel, you will see for yourself that he discusses Tracy at length in these videos about how she's treated him. I've opened him up live, his blog. You saw his words. You can listen to what he has to say on his Queen of Fail channel and his British hypocrisy video. I'm sure there's a couple of more on there as well, but I think there's a fail fuck video or something. But why is it that if I had been so awful to Chang, then why wasn't there any videos about me on that channel? Because it didn't happen. So I leave you with this. I know that Survivor Girl and Malibu both have been doing streams bringing up Chang 13A, whom they didn't know. They have made some pretty serious allegations against me, claiming I'm a suicide troll and that I was somehow culpable. They did not know him. They're going on the hearsay of Piss and Excellence, aka Cheryl Tracy Gamble. And I hope that I've displayed to you here what her character is and whom she is, and shown you guys enough examples of who in fact was the culprit here. Not only is Tracy linked to William Weeks harassing him, he committed suicide, but she's also linked to Jennifer Souls, aka Southern Raven, who committed suicide. She bullied both of them. What kind of person goes and stalks a dead person's obituary? Cheryl Tracy Gamble. That's the character right there. This is a woman who targets children and families, will pass around revenge porn and claim it's other people, set people up, make fake profiles, fake police reports, frame people. This woman lies constantly. She makes all these grandiose statements, but very rarely shows receipts. I just showed you receipts. And if you don't understand, then I can't help you. You all have a good day.